Good evening and welcome to a celebration of what is for us programme number 69, although how we go about celebrating that is yet to be decided. In the news this week, the Serbian synchronised swimming team warms up for the European Championships. After winning a share in the National Lottery jackpot, a Norfolk woman insists it won't change her. And Tom Jones donates one of his condoms to children in need. With Ian Hislop tonight, an actress and presenter who says that if she could choose her nationality, she'd be Italian. And as she's on Ian's team, she might as well surrender straight away. Helen Atkinson would. And on Paul Merton's team, a Conservative MP who's in favour of hanging, birching, flogging and caning, and that's just for parking offences, Sir Teddy Taylor. So, a quick look at the scores, and you can feel the tension in the air as the teams are neck and neck with no points. Thank you. Round one. Round one then, Paul and Teddy. Who's this happy man?
It's the gas bloke, isn't it? That's the gas woman. People paying his wages. They're laying pipes to have his salary siphoned directly into his house.
He's getting 6 times as much as John Major. Do you think that's fair?
Yes.
He's far too hard than John Major. He's actually terribly nice. Kidding.
He's terribly nice.
It really is. I'm not kidding.
I thought you were a rebel. You were the Marlon Brando of the Tory party. What are you rebelling against, Teddy? What you got?
He's doing impressions of Marlon Brando. I've been going 30 seconds. This is the man of 1,000 voices. All of them the same.
He still looks like Jimmy Somerville, that's the incredible.
So was the answer right?
Yes, it was right. Yes, yes.
Good,
You've got
very
2
good
points.
stuff. Well done.
Excellent. It's not all over just yet. It is the news leaked to the press this week of a £200,000 pay rise awarded to British gas boss Cedric Brown. This comes just a week after John Major specifically ordered industry chiefs not to do this. Don't you just love being in control? Another British gas executive getting a massive salary is American-born Richard Giordano, described in the Telegraph as the ideal mid-Atlantic businessman. I didn't think there were many businessmen in the mid-Atlantic, unless you count Robert Maxwell. Ian and Helen, who's on their way out here?
No, that's that nice man Teddy likes. That's Kenneth Clark. That's Herd, rhyming slang.
And that?
That appears to be something going into a tailspin and crashing embarrassingly.
Yeah.
Bit of a nosedive.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's meant to be a metaphor for the government.
Well spotted.
Can you do Shirley Bassey? He's tempted. Look, he's tempted.
No, you'll have to wait for my gold finger.
As of Monday, we shall be saying hello to a new government and goodbye to the existing one.
Provided you vote the right way.
Oh dear, 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 dear.
You and my friends, the Wintertons, in fact, Anne and
I
Nicholas,
never understood why the Japanese and these ones were applied. Why did they get so excited? They went for the EEC. You know that we are actually having to spend money destroying 132,000 tonnes of cauliflowers. That's what we're discussing. Do we give more money to this crowd? Well, just imagine, how would you go about destroying 132,000 tonnes of cauliflower?
But we want you
Over
to
a million
destroy
tons of
one cauliflower.
Which way are you going to vote then? You'll be voting.
I'm not voting to give more cash to the EC, quite honestly. I mean, it's nutty to do it. They are wasting money all the time. I'm not kidding. If you see the amount of money which is spent, there was just a story just the other day about a brass plate company in Italy who got 1.7 million lire for delivering non-existent fruit juice to NATO headquarters in Palermo. Now, you can't give money for this kind of thing. It's just daft. I think it is anyway. I could tell you more about this cauliflower business.
No, but you did get the Chancellor. The Chancellor of the Exchequer said that you know, the Euro
He made a
budget costs
mistake.
so
In fact.
much.
He made an honest mistake. I mean, he said that the amount we're going to have to give this year is £700 million more than we thought it was. It was one of these reassessments. Essentially cost you, it's £1 a week. It's £1 a week for every family in Britain extra. Now, these mistakes can happen, but on the other hand, I think that now they've found out the mistake, we should try and do something about it.
Can I just stop you there, because in a moment we'll be going out live.
It was the threat, as I think someone mentioned, that if they lose the Commons Euro debate on Monday, the Cabinet, to a man, will resign. The suicide pact will be enforced if the Tory rebels have their way, although if John Major did try and blow his own brains out, it'd have to be a bloody good shot.
That's not kind of thing.
No, it's quite funny though, isn't it? Quite being the operative word, I think. Paul and Teddy, another heavyweight political question for you.
Oh, yes.
Cauliflowers.
Yeah. That's them. Yeah. These are these wonderful plastic ducks that I think they're in a shipwreck or something, and the ducks floated. There's millions of them. There's thousands of them, and they're floating slowly towards it.
It's not just them. There's ducks too, and turtles. Some
Oh.
And I think there's also some tiny whales as well to test.
Did I hear you say Sir Ted?
Yes, I did, just remember it. It was kind of affectionate.
Familiar, isn't it?
Kind of affectionately.
That's his name. Seems right. Yes, there are turtles and beavers as well, in fact.
Did we get that happen too?
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good. Well,
You haven't one just yet. Environmentalists are now trying to disperse the flotilla of ducks using 1 million gallons of matey bubble bath. Helen, help Ian out with this one.
Is it a football team? Oh, no, it's the Beatles. And that's Radio 1, because I can read. And this is something.
That's Radio 1's only listener, isn't it?
I think it's something to do with the fact that the Beatles are going to all get together and bring out a Christmas disc. And indeed, John Lennon's also making his contribution from the other side of the grave.
How?
Are you helping me? You're supposed to have the same time. I'm going to call you the Teddy Pocket or something in a minute. Lovely fluff bundle.
Makes a change from what he's normally called on this programme. Yes, John has kindly agreed to return from the dead.
Yes, I think they've kind of someone found some tapes that he'd once recorded in his bedroom of him, doing some singing, and they're putting them all together and they're making a Beatles disc.
Tell you the chap I listened up and down the car, and listened to the radio. My daughter's got some of these funny pop records. The chap I find fantastic, Bob Marley, have you heard him? Fantastic, not kidding, really. I say he's got a wonderful song that just summarises the European policy of the government.
Just says, no woman, no cry.
No,
no,
don't you
cauliflower,
worry
no
about
crime.
anything, baby, because everything's going to be all right. That's it. Fantastic.
Yes,
So you're a Bob Marley fan then?
I'm not kidding you.
This is actually a more surreal experience than I ever actually thought of doing on this programme.
What do you listen to in the car radio? Really? Tell me.
I don't know, I obviously don't have the same choice of hallucinogenic drugs as you do.
Try Bob Marley, I'm not kidding, it's fantastic, isn't it?
yes, well, I think he tried.
So kids at home, try Bob Marley, but be careful.
Yes, well,
Very good stuff.
we seem to have turned this programme into The Word, or... It is the exciting release this week of the new album of Beatles recordings that weren't good enough to be released the first time round. Yoko Ono has given the project her blessing. She said she knew John would have wanted her to receive an enormous royalty cheque. Which Beatlemania brings us screaming to the end of round one, and the news is that both teams have an equally fab four. It doubtless won't have escaped your notice that this week marks two special anniversaries, it being a tragic 31 years since President Kennedy was shot, and an altogether less tragic 4 years since Mrs. Thatcher was knifed by her own party. This week's caption competition depicts the moments leading up to both these events, as Ian and Helen are given this, and Paul and Teddy get this. Meanwhile, back in 1994, it's time now for an all-new round two, which veers dangerously close to the food and drink programme, as it's our own Have I Got News For You taste test. In the absence of Gilly Goulden, Ian and Helen start. In front of them are 3 unmarked glasses of cola. One of them is the real thing, as it's known. Another is Richard Branson's new Virgin Cola, launched unobtrusively this week. And a third is the new Sainsbury's Cola, which Coca-Cola had the audacity to suggest recently had similar packaging.
Well, they're right. Look at it.
Oh, yes,
Just
there
the
they are.
same.
The panel's task is to identify which is which. Ian and Helen.
Well, this is,
A.
I guess A. And a charming warm-up for me to be doing the food and drink programme in literally a couple of weeks.
That was a quick plug, wasn't it? Which we look forward to editing.
Well, I think it's entirely true. Well, it's a claret, I think that was.
Very nice bouquet.
They are all colas, I have to tell you.
Oh.
I get to try this one.
It may be strangely similar.
Probably came out of the same dog. Yes, now there. Ian.
That is fantastic.
Isn't it? Because that's the one with the Bacardi in it. Let's not forget. I think this is the original Coca-Cola.
Right.
Actually.
C is the
I
real
think
thing.
C is
Right.
the real thing. And I think that B is probably the Sainsbury's. And I think A, because of the fact that I haven't tasted it before, and I haven't tasted the Virgin before, I think this is the Virgin.
I think I understand what you're saying. What do you think, Paul?
I haven't tasted it. I don't know. I haven't got a 6-foot tongue, have I? Or have I? I mean, what do I think?
Apparently not.
What do you usually think? All right, then, well, I think
down
the
the ship.
B's the Coke, the A's the Virgin, and the C's the Sainsbury's.
And he's completely right, isn't he?
What do you think?
Nobody's ever going to believe that.
No, that's true. Yes, astonishingly, Paul is completely correct. It is, in this order, Virgin is A, Coca-Cola is B, and Sainsbury's is C. So I'm afraid Paul gets all your points. Following Richard Branson's move from airlines and entertainment into cola production, the Daily Telegraph said that he is seeking world domination. Branson said that that was nonsense from his undersea volcano in the Caribbean. Paul and Teddy. 3 apparently identical glasses of water. One is expensive House of Commons water, bottled exclusively for members of Parliament. Another is fresh from Camelford, where so many people were poisoned 6 years ago, and 100,000 fish died only a couple of months ago on upper tea. And the other is Thames water, which medical experts allege is so full of female hormones that fish in the river are changing sex.
Is this quite safe? We've been told we mustn't have a by-election on any account. Is it quite safe?
Wig it down. No breast development then. It's just all water, isn't it, presumably?
Yes, well done, Paul.
That's a rather insouciant little number.
Not very nice.
Rather cheeky little monkey, that one. Full of water that'd come around your house and smash the windows and run away. Well, that's the worst one.
I think that's the House of Commons one.
You haven't tasted it?
Yeah, that's the House of Commons one.
Is it? Right, so C's the House of Common one. Well,
That's not so bad. That's Thames, I think. That's the nasty one. Where does it come from?
Camelford. So that's Camelford, Thames and House of Commons.
Camelford,
Thames,
Thames, House of Commons. Ian?
House of Commons, Thames, Camelford.
And Ian has got it absolutely right.
This taste test's a bit of a disaster, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for the people who are actually tasting it, yes. A study of the effects of various tap waters on males was conducted by the Royal Free Hospital. Those men who drank ordinary tap water were found to produce high-quality sperm. Those who drank Thames tap water produced low-quality sperm, and those who drank export lager were sadly unable to take part in the experiment. Which tasteless offerings bring us to the end of this hopefully one-off round, at which halfway point, well, Paul and Teddy and Ian and Helen seem to be stuck in the middle with 8. For those of you watching in black and white, it's round 3, our cunningly devised odd one out round. 4 widely respected figures. Which one's the Geoffrey Archer? Paul, you're 4. Geoffrey Archer, John Wayne Bobbitt, Monsieur Silhouette, and Sir Ranulph Twistleton Wickham Fines.
Only one of them's a very good score in Scrabble. Something to do with names, isn't it? Oh, God, I don't know. It seems dull, isn't it?
Sorry.
I think it's all these people have something named after their name. They're all eponyms.
Ooh.
An eponym is a product named after a person, like a sandwich was named after Lord Sandwich, or a cardigan, or a cardigan, or whatever. So a silhouette was named after this man, Silhouette. An archer is known actually in the city now as 2,000 quid. They refer to an archer because he gave 2,000 quid on a railway station to a prostitute who he'd never met. Obviously.
Naturally.
As you would.
And Bobbitt?
Bobbitt. People in America now apparently refer to their bobbit. Men in the locker room say, seen the size of my bobbit.
Rather on the bobbit theme, I was thinking there was going to be something to do with bits dropping off.
Yes.
Because Ranulph Twistleton Fine got very severe frostbite of the penis when he was last in the Arctic. And obviously Bobbitt had his own penis problem. And Archer...
What about Jeff then?
rather speaks for itself, I would have...
What, he's got a talking penis?
It is that Archer, Bobbitt and Silhouette are eponyms, but thankfully nothing yet's been dubbed a Twistleton Wickham Fines. John Bobbitt has just released an adult video in which he has sexual intercourse with 6 women. He didn't actually have to turn up at the studio, they did the whole thing by post.
He gets very nervous when the director shouts cut.
Monsieur Etienne de Silhouette invented 2-dimensional entertainment with some rather unimpressive shadows, an idea that Hank Marvin has made an entire career out of. Teddy, your 4 entertainers are Brian Clough, Paul Daniels, John Major, and Douglas Hurd.
That's Douglas Hurd with that book, Britain and Europe, you know, I'm not kidding, if you read it, not rubbish.
Can you give us
We published an answer to that, you know,
Was it a short one? Brian Clough's son is a footballer. And Paul Daniels' son is a magician.
Mm.
John Major's son is a prime minister. Is his son in government, or Douglas Hurd's son in government or something?
No.
He's in the Foreign Office, actually, Douglas Hurd's son.
It is
Like his father.
alarming.
Well, I'll say John Major's good one out then.
Because
I told him the answer.
yes, I think I probably will give 1 point each, because Ian seemed to know that Douglas Hurd's son was a politician, whereas Sir Ted seems not to know that.
Douglas Hurd's son, a politician.
It's not your fault, it's not your specialist subject or anything.
What kind of politician is he?
He's in the Foreign Office.
In the Foreign Office. He's a diplomat, more than a politician.
Right.
Douglas Hurd's son's in the Foreign Office.
It's too late now, unfortunately.
I don't knew that. He's the boss of the Foreign Office.
Douglas.
Yeah.
Yes, that wasn't a question, though, unfortunately. Had I
His
said
son's
who's the
working for
boss?
him.
Hmm?
His son's working for him.
You sound shocked.
It is... all of them have been followed by their sons into the same profession, except John Major. Douglas Hurd's son has followed him into the Foreign Office. He said he hopes
Douglas Hurd's son works in the Foreign Office. Did you know that?
Yes, he said he hopes to emulate his father's achievements of 30 years in politics, just as soon as he's discovered what they are. Helen, your Fab 4 are Paul McCartney, the Queen Mother, Lord Lucan, and George Rowe of Quernmore Walk, Kirby.
Lord Lucan has to be the odd one out.
Yes.
Well, because he's innocent.
Because?
That's Mr. Silhouette's son. He went into his father's business, Silhouette.
No.
I think it's got something to do with reported deaths. With Paul McCartney, there was a rumour in, you know, late period Beatles 69 that he was dead, and there was a thing about the Queen Mother that she was dead.
That's right, that's right.
So, whoever George Rowe is, he must have been officially pronounced dead or something, and Lord Luke has never been.
Right again. George Rowe's mother was rather taken aback when police told her her son had just been found dead in a seedy hotel in Thailand, surrounded by heroin needles, as he just popped out for a drink in Kirby. He went down to the police station to prove he was alive, but they soon beat that out of him. Ian, your gang of losers is David Owen, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, Torval Dean, and the Pope.
David Owen, this is a... I do know this, actually. This is a Sarajevo question. Archduke Franz Ferdinand went to Sarajevo, got shot by Bosnian Serbs, actually, and started the First World War. David Owen tried to stop a civil war and went to Sarajevo. Torval Dean went to Sarajevo and won the World Olympic ice skating bolero thing.
To give it its official title.
Yeah. And the Pope was meant to go to Sarajevo, but didn't, because he was going to go there to sort of encourage everybody, but then it was too dangerous, so he didn't go.
Good old Pope.
Good old Pope. The answer is everyone's been to Sarajevo except the Pope.
Except the Pope is the right answer. Torval Dean skated at the Sarajevo Olympics. Nowadays, the city is a burnt-out shell with half-ruined buildings and no electricity, but it's still got more chance of hosting the Olympics than Manchester. Which customarily flippant dealings with the world's major problems bring us tripping lightly to the end of this round, and the latest news from the front is that Paul and Teddy are somewhat at sea with 11, whilst Ian and Helen are almost home and dry with 13. And so to this week's specially contrived Missing Words round, featuring no fewer than 2 guest publications. Ian and Helen's are all taken from this week's leaked Conservative memo on what the party should do to win the next election. So, we need to develop 5 killer what?
Bees?
Killer jokes.
No.
They've got Heard and Major. They need 3 more.
Ideas, policies,
5 ideas, don't be stupid.
policies, ideas, facts.
Facts is the answer that we were looking for.
Facts.
And Paul said it, so he gets the points. Next, if Blair turns out to be what, we have a problem.
Is this the killer bee?
No, put killer bees from your mind, Helen.
Almost impossible. It's going to be tricky. As good as he looks.
As good as he looks. Next, we need to feed our friends what?
Honey! Oh, quiet.
We need to feed our friends stories.
In the press with good stories is how they phrase it. And lastly, we should use... Sorry?
So that's the idea of the government having a good story, apart from we're off.
You've been very cruel to the
All down to Teddy.
Yes, I know.
We're being very cruel to the government. You're about to vote against them in a no-confidence debate.
That's a separate point.
No more nasty remarks about the government, everyone. And lastly, we should use what ruthlessly on television?
Taylor, obviously.
Good talkers.
Aerials.
Good performers, I'll give it to Paul.
Yes.
Paul and Teddy's missing words now are taken from this week's Euro-bashing article by Tory Vice Chairman Patrick Nichols that was so diplomatically phrased that he had to resign immediately. So, here we go with France was a nation of what?
French people.
No. No. Collaborators. You know,
Collaborators.
Is that right?
Yes.
Splendid.
Yes, do you agree with that?
No, actually it's a wee bit unfair because, you know, some of the French people some of the French people fought very hard indeed, you know. I'm not in this anti-Euro business at all. I'm not anti-French or anti-German. I'm just against the EEC.
Next, Germany's main contribution has been what?
It's BMW 5 Series.
Europe into 2 world wars. I bet that's it.
Word perfect.
I read
To
it,
plunge
yeah. That's
Europe
what I read
into
there.
2 world wars.
So
Very
do
good.
you agree with that as well?
Yeah, that's true, but the thing is, we've not to be anti-German now, and that's not the answer. We're against this nonsense of the EC, which is destroying jobs, pushing up prices, and creating all these problems. That's what we should concentrate on, and that's why... I mean,
Concentrate on, we've heard nothing else all night.
Well, Patrick Nichols is a very nice guy, don't get me wrong, But I think it's wrong to do this kind of thing, you know. Opinion is changing. People are getting fed up to the teeth with what's going on.
With what?
With these, I'll tell you with what. Goodness gracious me. Do you know, Douglas Hurd told me... I'm sorry, I shouldn't bring in politics to this, but I'm not kidding.
Oh, no, do it, make a change.
Next, you say Nichols is a nice bloke. The last time he made a pronouncement, he came out firmly against drunk driving. Then the next day he was picked up pissed in a car.
It was a mistake.
It was a mistake. Because he had to resign that time.
I know.
You might think resigning once because you made a fool of yourself is, you know, an accident. But twice begins to look like being a twit, doesn't it?
Meanwhile, back at the quiz, I prefer what to Beethoven's Fifth?
Fiddling with myself.
No.
There's only one movement.
He said, I prefer the national anthem of my Queen.
He must be deaf. He prefers God Save the Queen to Beethoven's Fifth.
You should have tried Mahler or Bob Marley.
I think this is where we came in, actually. So, yes, on with the quickfire round. And finally, I wish I was not in what?
I wish I was not in the community, the European community.
Yes, the European community is the sensible, if unfunny answer. Which Euro bilge brings us marching triumphantly to the end of this round and indeed programme. And the outcome is that this week's mashed Swedes are Ian and Helen with 17, whilst this week's Great Danes are Paul and Teddy with 25. But before we dissolve into the night, a brief reminder of our anniversary caption competition. Paul and Teddy, this was yours, I think.
What a lovely evening. I've never seen Deep Throat before.
Ian and Helen?
He was saying, hey, Oswald, nice rifle. Look at that grassy knoll.
Is he saying, do you know, I think my headache's gone?
On which nostalgic note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Helen Atkinson-Wood, Paul Merton and Sir Teddy Taylor. And I leave you with news that as a special interest supermarket opens up in Norwich, safety experts warn there's a tragedy waiting to happen at the salami counter. After relaxations in army rules, the Queen inspects Britain's first all-homosexual regiment. And rumours rock the Conservative Party that Giles Brandreth may have fathered a love child in Australia. Good night.